Welcome to the Program Design Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Monique, teacher and curriculum writer turned program mentor and business strategist for coaches, educators, and online experts. Whether you're looking to create your first ever group coaching program or scale your current offer for more freedom, revenue, and consistent income, this is the podcast for you. Here you'll find practical strategies and encouragement mixed with a bit of manifestation and intuition to help you grow and design a program you absolutely love. Let's dive in. You are listening to the Program Design Podcast. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm going to be diving into how I am planning to take 4 weeks off with my family, with my kids this summer, while still keeping the business running without sacrificing revenue. I'm going to be sharing that in a moment. But before I do, I wanted to share that I am doing something brand new this month, and it is a 90-minute workshop called Structured. And in this workshop, it's going to be a live paid workshop. We're going to be looking at nailing your program promise, your outline, and a project plan. And the reason I want to help you with this is because I know that often before you create your signature program, we can get lost in all of our ideas and all of our details and all of the moving parts and pieces. And it can feel very daunting to actually get your program up and off the ground, especially when it's your signature, especially when there are lots of moving pieces. What do you need to have before you launch it? You want to make sure it's professional. You want to make sure it's clear and structured. That's what we're going to be doing this coming month so that you can be ready to actually look at launching your program in 2026. So we're going to be starting that on June 17th. And so if you would like to join this workshop, I'm going to have a limited number of spots, and it's going to be just for people on my list and podcast listeners, so people who are already in my world. So if you've been listening for any length of time and you know that you would like to really get that program idea off the ground, especially for your signature program, I would love to have you join us in our upcoming workshop called Structured on June 17th. So we will put it in the show notes so you can sign up. I would love to have you there. And so let's get on to this week's episode. So first off, I want to spend 4 weeks off with my kids this summer. And the reason I was kind of even thinking about this is I know that a number of my clients have been saying, like, I really want to spend more time with my kids this summer. And so if that is you, I want to share a little bit about how I'm taking time off to spend with them this year. But maybe your kids are older, maybe you don't have kids and you still want to be able to take some time off. This is still going to be relevant for you, but it's especially going to be relevant if you want to spend time with your kids and also if you have limited hours already, like I do, because I work in about 25 hours a week. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't always want to take time off in the summer with my kids. I was very happy to put them in at least some summer camp, partially because I worked part-time, honestly, and working was so much easier than taking care of them because I have 2 boys. And when they were really little, they were just a lot. Like, it was tiring. They have a lot of energy and I love them, but they were a lot. And I really wanted to have that space to be able to work. I love working. I love my business. And that really worked for me over the summer. And it didn't feel like my hours were already reasonably limited during the school year. So then over summer, it didn't feel that different. But now this is my first year with both of my kids in full-time school. We are just finishing kindergarten and grade 3, my boys are. And this is the first summer that I was like, I'd really like to be able to spend more time with them. The other thing, and I don't know if you feel this, if you are a parent or a mom, but when they were little, and I mean, maybe it's because I had my second during a pandemic, but it felt long. Like, the days are long, but the years are short. Everything just felt long to me. It felt like it was a lot. I loved them, but they were so exhausting. But now as they are getting older, I am more aware of the time that I have with them in each season, and I really want to make the most of it. So I was like, I'd really love to be able to spend like more time with them this summer. And I thought, like, what would that look like? What if I had like a week on and a week off? Maybe I would want that. I wasn't really sure. And then what came to me recently was I've wanted to go to Europe with them. And I thought about in the spring or in the fall, and it kind of like started creeping up, and we started thinking about this summer. And part of the reason that this came up is, first off, I wanted to be able to spend more time with them. But the other is because earlier this year, for some personal reasons that I won't share on the podcast, we needed to change schools. And we used to be in a Francophone program. So for French speakers. So I'm in Canada. So obviously French is our second language. And there are programs specifically for French speaking families. So I speak to my kids in French and English that are there to preserve the language. And so it is for kids who have that background who speak French at home. And so I was in that school system. And when we moved, I moved into immersion. So that is for kids who are English speakers whose parents don't speak French, who are learning the language. And it can be great, but it's a different experience, especially culturally. It's not quite the same. They're more like French language learners rather than feeling like that's part of their identity, really is the difference between the two school systems. And when I moved them, walking back from school one day, I just cried and cried. I was devastated, honestly, to leave that school because I felt like I was leaving a part of like my culture, my heritage behind, that I wouldn't be able to continue it. And even though I was really upset, I have a strong belief that I hold in business and in my personal life that what if this is actually a good thing? What if this is actually going to be something even better than I anticipated or I had imagined? And I was like, what if I could make this a good thing? I don't know what that's going to be yet. And I was really, really disappointed. But I was like, what if I could make this into actually a good thing? And one of the ideas that came to me when I asked that question and when I was talking to my husband about it was, what if we went to more French-speaking places in the summers, in our time off, because my husband's a teacher, where they could actually really be not just immersed at school, but so that they're around other French speakers. And they see that it's not just mom who speaks French and that at school we speak French, but it's actually like exists. Because I live, if you don't know Canada very well, like I live on the West Coast, there's not much French spoken here. And so I thought, what if we did that? And it kind of came to like this realization, like, what if we did that this summer and we went to France with the kids for a longer period of time, and we'll do some fun things, which I won't share just for the off chance they hear this podcast episode. I highly doubt they will, but we'll do some fun surprises for them. And also some like smaller towns where we can just like be and go to markets and go to the beach and just be in France and have that experience. I'd love for them to be around other kids so they can see that it's not just me and they can chat with other kids in French and everything. And so I thought, like, what if we went to France? And we're going for almost 4 weeks, which I'm so excited. We'll be in England for a little bit and then we'll be in France. And that got me thinking, okay, how am I going to prep the business to be able to do that? And that's what I'm sharing in this week's episode. And so this is part 1. This is what I'm planning. And I'm going to share later on in the summer what it actually looked like in real life, what worked, what didn't work. But for now, I want to share the plan for how I'm going to take those 4 weeks off to go to Europe, to go to France with my kids and my husband, of course. So the first thing that I want to share is how I'm going to make it work with my clients, because my goal is basically for my clients to not really feel any different, that the support will stay the same. The programs that I run will continue. It won't really feel all that different for them. And how have I built that into the way that I run my business so that I can have more of that freedom and flexibility to spend time with my family? So when I was mentoring teachers, I think I underneath had this feeling that I felt bad for charging. And therefore, I never took time off. Never. I don't think I took a week off except for maybe like the week of Christmas for at least a year, maybe a year and a half. I had a call every single week with my group and all the other things that I was doing. Like I never took time off. And when I let go of that program, it still exists. And I still actually have some one-on-one teacher clients from that program. But from that experience, I was like, you know what? I do not want to say that I'm going to be on a call every single week indefinitely, because to me, it feels uncomfortable to say, well, I'm taking 2 weeks off now and I'm taking this time off when people have expected me to show up every week. So instead, I structure my programs, signature program design and pilot program design, to have currently pilot program, it might change eventually, but signature program design, especially to have 3 weeks on and 1 week off of calls. So we have our group calls 3 times a month. And then I always have a week off in the business so that I can always have time if I want to go travel. I love to travel. If I want to go traveling, if I want to have a week off, if I want to go do something with my kids or whatever it is, I always have that week built in. So that's the first way, is that my programs are already structured to have some space to take time off. So I'm going to be taking, of the 4 weeks that we're going to be off, I'm going to kind of rotate them a little bit so that 1 week when I first arrive, I won't have any group calls. And then the week before we leave, I won't have any group calls, and I'll kind of shimmy them around so my clients still have their 3 calls plus a month. The next thing that I really sought to do in the way that I serve my clients is I didn't want my clients to only get results when they show up live with me. So in one-on-ones or even in group calls, I wanted there to be a way that they can still get support without me having to be on and without them having to be on as well, and for it to be a little bit more asynchronous. So the way that I've done that is first I have in Signature Program Design, I have Telegram support. So that is my closer knit community where you can get support on a regular basis. So like if you're thinking about something and you're getting stuck on it with your copy, or you're wondering a marketing strategy, or you're feeling some sort of imposter syndrome, or even like this morning, my clients were chatting about like suggestions for how to record their videos. We all have that kind of discussion in Telegram. And the reason I liked to create that is first off, there was the community. So it wasn't just me, like other people are supporting one another within that community. And I'm in there every single day, and I'll still just do that while I'm away. Like that's an easy thing that I can easily keep up with. I'll still connect with my clients through Telegram. I have my boundaries that I work within it, and I'm just going to keep that going. So it's still asynchronous. I can still go out during the day, and then in the evenings, I'll check in on Telegram with my clients. And then the last thing that I really wanted to make sure that I did with my programs is I created my mini result milestones, which if you've been listening for any length of time, you've probably heard, which are the small mini results that lead to your final result. So I have a clear, structured way that I describe my mini result milestones, but I've also created a success path within that. And so my clients have their milestones, but then they also have action steps within their milestones. So they know what to do next, even if I'm not around, even if they're at a different phase. So it allows them to go at their own pace. And I know, even if I'm on the flight, on a plane, they're still going to be able to see, okay, I finished this milestone. This is what I can do next. And I don't always feel like they're just waiting to ask me questions to know what to do next in the program because of the program curriculum and because of those mini result milestones and the success path built in. So that's the first way is in my programs, I've already built in a way. And that's what I love about a signature program is I've already built it so that I can have that flexibility and I can still support my clients in a way that works without me always having to do the one-on-one calls, right? The other thing I've been doing is I have been letting go of a lot of one-to-ones that are outside of my programs so that I could have more of that flexibility. And so if you're listening and you're doing a lot of done for you or one-to-ones, I've absolutely been there. And when you can create a program that can support your clients without you always having to do it, it makes such a huge difference. So that's the first thing. The next is how I'm going to actually be bringing in revenue in the business. And so what I think a lot of people used to do in the online world is they did these big launches, and people still do them. And I mean, if that's for you, fantastic. Personally, I do not love a big launch once a quarter, once a year. I find them too stressful. I find them very high pressure. And if something doesn't work, like you're waiting till the next time you launch it, like it's just not for me. And so I would rather have regular intakes of small groups of people that I can integrate into my program that I can get to know. And it doesn't feel so high pressure that this one launch has to work. So I'm still going to be doing those. I'm not going to do them while I'm away, but I'm still going to be running my regular master classes. I have a whole system. I call them repeatable sales systems. So I'm going to still be running my sales systems regularly to bring people in July and to bring people in at the end of August. I'll have small intakes for those months before I'm gone. And then I still have renewals, recurring revenue in the business. I have payment plans. And so I still have people that are in my programs that lead to that consistency, even if I'm not actively selling and bringing people into my world. So that's really how I'm going to be continuing to bring in money into the business and that was, I think, one of the fears that I used to have is like, if I stop working, like my business will stop making money. And now I've created the systems and the structure that don't require me to do everything. We have some automations in the business. I have part-time team that support me to do those more regular master classes. We're doing that paid masterclass that I spoke to you about at the beginning called Structured, where we'll bring in some of those folks. We'll jump into my main programs from there. And so I have regular ways that I bring people into my programs And so if I take time off, it's okay because I already have the rhythm. I'm not recreating a new offer, a new sales system every month as soon as my program is done. It's always the same, and I'm just improving and refining. And so I have more freedom and flexibility to take time off because I'm not reinventing the wheel all the time. Does that make sense? And honestly, the way I even really saw this is when I was mentoring teachers. Sometimes teachers said to me like, oh my gosh, I'm working so many hours. How can I work fewer hours? And I obviously taught them a lot of systems to be able to help them with that. But from a practical standpoint, one of the ways to work fewer hours is to not change subjects all the time. Don't change subjects, don't change years, don't change grade levels. When you can keep the same school, like the same class for a while, you get better and better at delivering it. And it's the same with our sales systems, is when you can have one offer, one sales system, or maybe a couple of offers and one specific way or a few specific ways that you bring people in and you just do it again and again and again, you will free up more time. You just will. And so that's how I'm going to be continuing to bring in revenue through the business. We're still going to be running those master classes at the beginning of the month and at the end of August. And then we'll still have that recurring revenue from folks who have joined my programs and the renewals that people who are staying in the programs who continue to join us month after month. So that's how I'm going to be continuing to bring in revenue. The last thing I wanted to share, though, is what I'm letting go of, because I always found when I learned from mentors in the past, how they looked at their summers versus the rest of the year was really helpful, because it's hard to know sometimes like what to prioritize and what to let go of. So the things that I'm going to be either prepping ahead of time or letting go of completely in order to make this happen. So the first thing that I'm going to do to make this happen is I really want, we'll see if I manage, but I really want to batch a bunch of podcast episodes, because I'm not planning on recording podcast episodes while I'm away. I don't want to bring my microphone. We're going to be traveling real light. I don't want to bring my microphone, and I still want my podcast to continue over the summer. I thought about pausing it actually. I'm on the fence, but likely I'll still run my podcast episodes, but I will batch them ahead of time. So I'll be able to take time off. I do want to do some batching around those things earlier, but then in terms of what I'm letting go of, first off, I will do a little bit of work in the evenings here and there, not all the time, but a little bit, just to kind of keep things rolling, making sure that it's still continuing on. But there are other things that I am going to let go of in order to be able to take time off. The first is podcast guesting. So I had an invite to go on a really great podcast. I would love to go on her podcast. I'd love to collaborate with her. And I keep putting it off. And I'm like, you know what? It's because it's not the season to do any guest podcasting, to do any extras. So anything like that, any extra fun collaborations and stuff, I'm not going to be doing now in June as I prep for this. And I'm not going to be doing it over the summer. I will do them again in September. So any kind of new collaborations, new guesting, things like that, having people come and guest on my podcast, I don't think I'll be doing much of that, so that I can prioritize like just running my systems and the things that really matter. I may post a little bit less on Instagram. That's not a huge push for my sales system. Mostly when people join my programs, they've listened to my podcast, they have followed me on Instagram, but it's not like my growth source. It's not how people are discovering me. It is how people get to know me. So I will post on Instagram, but I might not post as frequently. And so really the things that I'm prioritizing are making sure that I'm running my programs well and bringing people in. I'm not going to worry about extra projects, adding in a bunch of different new content to the program, different projects like my website. I do really want to update my website, but those kinds of things are not going to be like my top priority, because I can leave those for later in the fall when I have a little bit more space. For now, I just want to focus on the things that really matter in the business so that I can take that time off. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I really want to encourage you, if you want to take time off, spend more time with your kids this summer, that it's absolutely possible for you. And if you don't have a scalable signature offer, honestly, that is the thing that makes the biggest difference. There is no way I would have been able to do this when I was doing just one-to-ones a number of years ago and done for you work. There's just no way, because I needed to keep trading time for dollars. That's really what it came down to. And so if you are thinking about creating a signature program, a signature offer that is more scalable, that's more leveraged, I would highly recommend it because I just love that I still know my clients well. I can still support them. I can still go on Telegram and give them all sorts of voice notes and support them. I can have my one-on-one calls for my one-on-one clients that are within the program. I can still have the group calls, but it's not taking up all of my time either because there's so much infrastructure that already exists to support them without me having to be on all the time. So that's really like the program and the sales system, that those are the two things that are really making this possible. So if you know that you want to make that happen and you want to start thinking, okay, what do I need to have built out and ready so that I can launch my program? Would love to have you in our upcoming masterclass called Structured. Again, we'll nail your promise, your program outline. There's going to be a whole workbook to support you. It's really about being able to do it in 90 minutes or less. Because I know sometimes the thing that really stops us is that it feels so daunting to spend all that time creating it when really sometimes we're creating things that don't need to be created. We're spending time on the wrong thing. So I want to show you how to do that in 90 minutes in our upcoming workshop. So check that out in the show notes. We will put the link there so that you can sign up, so you can join us. And I will see you on next week's episode of Program Design.